Hello, welcome back to Star Frontiers Gamer. I'm Tom, aka Zebulon, your host, and this is the very day of my first video's debut for this channel. And right away, I was being questioned, are you gonna do Zebs? Well, this channel's dedicated to all things Star Frontiers, so sure, we'll do Zebs. Zebulon's Guide. Today we're doing Zebulon's Guide. And to try to save on video and me yakety-yakety-yakking, we're going to use the character that we created in the first tutorial, the Alpha Dawn tutorial. The link to that video, it's also right here on the screen. And the link to that will be in the show notes. But so I've copied over the information about Bolo, the Drawler site that we created in that tutorial, and I've just copied over the information that pertains to this, that actually would pertain to this. Because, well, the reason I did that actually is why don't we just go right to it. Right here in under character creation, this is page 7 in the actual hard copy book. And page 11 in the PDF, it says right there, character creation is unchanged from the expanded game system. So I haven't created any of these Zeb characters in more than a few years. So when I reread this just to dust up on it, and make sure I didn't look like too much of an idiot, the minute I read this, I was like, we're not going to redo the whole character creation process. You can refer to the other video because basically the disconnect between Alpha Dawn and here is the skill system. That's the disconnect. So you just follow the Alpha Dawn character creation system right up to the point where you're supposed to pick a PSA, because PSAs have been done away with in this. Primary skill areas no longer exist. Instead, they have professions. Same effect, basically, but you have professions. So let's jump and just review the character that was created. And here we go. So player's name, character's name is Bolo. He is a Drawlicite, he's neuter. This is new. Oh, and by the way, the Zeb's Guide actually had a new character sheet. The front page of it is essentially the same. The back page is modified to match the new system because that's where you're recording skills, and skills are just a little bit different, handled a little bit different in Zeb's Guide. So the back page was modified, so it's a whole new character sheet. You'll want to locate that at the back of the Zebulon's Guide book. That would be about page 95 in the PDF, thereabouts. So we have copied over his movements, rates, and his stats to the point of purchasing skills under the Alpha Dawn, his current stamina. I have copied over his weapons that he purchased, the Doze grenade that came in the standard equipment pack, and the smoke grenade that he just bought for the giggles of it, and the knife. Now I have put on here the max damage is sleep for the Doze grenade and -1 CS for the smoke grenade. Why did I put 1 CS? Well, that's because Zeb's Guide is the column shift mechanic that was used by, I want to say Indiana Jones RPG, but I could be wrong. And I think the Champions RPG, there was a few of them out there that used it, and it was almost immediately dropped and discontinued. Some people still like it. There are some people out there, and yeah, there are some people who like to eat blood sausage too. So, column shift mechanic. The smoke grenade in Star Frontiers is, of course, a smoke grenade and a tear gas grenade fused together. That is not how they work in the real world. Tear gas grenades are one thing and smoke grenades are another. But they've been fused together. So if you are in the area effect of a smoke grenade and you don't put on a gas mask, you have a -10 modifier to all your actions, skill checks, ability checks, whatever you're doing. The minus 10, very explicitly stated in Zeb's guide, translates to a -1 column shift. So I've already put in the -1 column shift right in there. And you need to be aware that you're working with a whole new system here. Recorded his credits. I recorded the equipment that we purchased. We don't need to go through all of these decisions again. Toxie rad gauge. Smart players get it. They're cheap. They protect you against evil DMs throwing radiation and toxic gas at you as environmental factors. Flashlight rope, gas mask. The inevitable gas mask, because smoke grenades are a cheap counter for lasers. Lasers cannot shoot through them. So if you're going to toss grenades as a counter to lasers, you need to have a gas mask because you never know where the grenade's going to bounce. So you go through all of the character creation process like we did. And when you come to that point in Alphadon where you are purchasing, or when you are deciding on your primary skill area, you then come over to the Zebulon's Guide book, and you're going to purchase. And when I say purchase, I mean purchase. You get 20 experience points, and you have to purchase a profession. And the professions are: character can belong to one of 4 professions: Enforcer, Tex-X, Sci-Spec, or Explorer. You will purchase one of these at character creation for 10 EXP. Now, I thought it was weird. Why do we even get the 20 EXP? We have to take one. It's automatic. It's like, I don't know why. I think they put that purchase for 10 in there because you might at a later date purchase spacer skills, profession, spacer profession, so that you have access to spacer skills. I think that's why they did it. The mentalist profession, which is a optional. So the mentalist profession is optional. It's at the back of the book. You can read up on that. It's handled a little differently than these. The other option with the mentalist skills is you can be an enlightened character. So you would start as an enforcer, Tex-X, Sci-Spec, or enforcer. And then if you had bumped up your logic to the requisite level, you could then become an enlightened character and get a few mentalist disciplines. You won't be as good as a full-on mentalist, more like a Padawan to a Jedi Knight, but you would have some access to some mentalist disciplines, but you would retain your previous profession. So they put this thing in there, purchase your profession for 10. And profession, it's very broad. It's a very broad thing. It's, the enforcer, these are your mercenaries, security guards, guys who are good with guns, good with driving, good with security devices. These are who they are. Your Tex-X, these are your technical experts. They're good at computers, robotics, fixing things, repairing things. That's that character. So that's a very broad profession. Sci-Spec, these are your science specialists, your eggheads, your doctors, your scientists. And the spacer, not spacers, explorer, the explorer's got your field craft, stalking, tracking, stealth, veterinary skills for healing animals, taming, ride animals, bunch of explorer type dealios that he gets. And then you have 10 experience points to spend on skills. But actually, before I go to the skills, we should talk about professional standing. You buy your profession, and then you have your occupational standing. Every character, no matter what his profession, can find a position in any occupational standing. That almost sounded like you are guaranteed a job under the Zebulon's administration of the frontier. What they're really saying is that it doesn't matter what your profession is, you can go into any occupation, like Star Law, corporate spy, corporate espionage, working for the government, self-employment, working on a mining ship. Doesn't matter what your profession is. You could be a spec, you could be an enforcer, you could and still work in one of these occupational standings. So they want you to decide on your occupational standings at this point in the character creation before you even pick skills. And I think that's a little bit silly. In fact, let's go back to the character sheet. So Bolo had a PSA of military. That translates to enforcer. But over here under occupational standing, I'm going to put a question mark because I don't know what sort of game my game master is going to be bringing to the table. He could be bringing a freighter, a big ship campaign where we're just a crew of a freighter bouncing around trying to raise money, you know, a kind of a Firefly type campaign. I don't know. I don't know what he's bringing. My last campaign was Port Lawrence CSI, and all the players their characters were members of the Port Lawrence Police Department's crime scene investigation unit. So that would have been their occupational standing. They're right now about to jump into a different occupation, and you know, so you can change your occupational standing. I'm putting a question mark here, even though the book says to pick it now, because I just don't know what kind of a game the game master is bringing. The character Bolo, under the Alpha Dawn rules, we picked just a couple of skills, and one was weapons, and it was, we're going to do this, PGS. So in this, oops, I left out an N, misspelling. So in Zebulon's guide, PGS, weapons PGS stands for projectile, gyrojet, sprayer weapons. So they've fused 3 weapon skills together into one. And I took projectiles, but now I can actually shoot gyrojets, and sprayer would be like a acid sprayer, flamethrower kind of weapon. And we took it at level 1. And so I've got 10 experience points and a level 1 skill that happens to be within my professional standing. Cost me 1 point. Now I've got 10, so you would think, well, why don't you spend 2 points and get level 2 as well for a total of 3? Well, the rules explicitly state that you cannot skip a level. Now it states that under the section where you're improving your skills. And I don't find any other statement anyplace else that says that you can't do this at character creation. However, I think the spirit of the rules is that you just take 10 first level skills as a brand new, newly minted enforcer. So I wrote down the shooting skill that we chose, which is as our primary skill in the Alpha Dawn character creation. And I now need to actually jump down here because I can't put technician straight up. Technician is a fractured skill in this system. Like, look over here under TextX. See all these computer skills? This is every single computer action that you had subsumed within computer skill in Alpha Dawn. And they have fractured every one of these sub-skill actions into a different skill in this system. The enforcer, we come up here, he does have some of what was in the technician skill. The TextX does not have these, actually. Is security systems access and operate, security systems deactivate, security systems detect, and open locks. So this is what was subsumed, and the vehicle skills, the driving skills within the technician skill plus the repair aspect of it. And I took, I took technician strictly for the vehicle driving. So we're going to have to buy up a bunch of these. But the other issue here is skills listed with an asterisk are automatically gained by the profession it is chosen. So if you notice here, there's endurance under the enforcer list. with an asterisk. There's agility under the Tex X list with an asterisk. Well, if you take this profession, you've got to take endurance. So I've got to add endurance. And what endurance does, it's just a free skill, and it gives you 7 points to add. In the case of endurance, it gives you 7 points to add to strength or stamina. And if you remember, my character was a little bit on the weak side, and that was a concern. So jumping over here, I'm going to write down endurance on my character sheet, but I'm going to add 5 points here, making this a 40, and 2 points here, making that a 37. So that ups my strength to 40. It does not change my punch score. They've listed it as damage modifier here, DM, but it's just the punch score. And so that does not change my punch score, my damage modifier. And I've upped my stamina to 37, so we should change that over here to 37. And scroll down and add endurance. And I'm not going to add a level. This is the only time you take it. We can put NA, I guess. You only take it the one time. And I didn't get a toolkit, a technician's toolkit, so I'm not going to take the security systems skills. I can add 10 first level skills here from the enforcer's profession. If I wanted a skill from outside his profession, I would have to pay double. So that would be 2 points for a first level skill from one of the other professions. But I'm going to add vehicles. And we're going to go with cars, cycles, Atmo. Oops. One, because he wanted to be a driver. That's what he wanted to think. And I'm really kind of thinking in terms of eventually becoming like a fighter pilot, a fighter jock type of character. He has such a high personality. He's got the personality for the fighter jock thing. And transports. I'm leaving out aquatic. I just don't want it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've chosen 5 skills. And we need more weapon skills. I have a melee weapon. Melee. That's 6. Prone. 7. And then on that list, the enforcers list that we were just there was comm devices. We'll take 1. So double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Computers. Access and operate. I don't have any other computer skills that I can take as part of my profession. But I do want to be able to access and operate computers so I can at least look for information. And then just a weird throw me kind of something off ball. I'm going to go with forgery, which was on my... And there, I've spent 10 experience points for these skills. Now, what you need to do after you've purchased your skills, you need to double check 2 things. You need to make sure none of these skills have a prerequisite that's another skill. For instance, I believe acoustics, which is actually a Tex X skill, has physics as a prerequisite, and physics is a sci-spec skill. So there are some prerequisites out there that you must obtain. And I don't think I'm running up against that here. Certainly not with the weapon skills. The only potential would be forgery. But in this case, it's probably going to specify that I need appropriate tools to perform forgery. So you will have skills that are prerequisites for other skills, and you'll have equipment that is a prerequisite for using the skill. In forgery, I can take it, but I might not be able to do it without the proper stuff. So I believe when I read the skill description, we'll see that there. So you'll want to make notations if there's any like equipment, and I would just do that here in this space in the margin. You'll want to put in your chance of success. There are 3 different possible chances of success, and the individual skill descriptions will tell you what those are. There is automatic. Once you take a skill, a particular skill, it's automatic. You can always accomplish that skill. And so it doesn't matter if you bump it up to higher levels, it's still automatic success. And so you would put that in here, auto, right in this column shift column here. This is your chance of success. The next, like endurance, qualifies as automatic. It's automatic. It automatically happens. You don't do anything for it. You just add those 7 points. The next is your skill level so you would put in here level, and sometimes it'll say level +2. Like for biology is considered, I guess, an easy skill. So it's whatever your level is plus 2 CS, 2 column shift. So that's the equivalent of a bonus of +20 in Alpha Dawn. So if I had biology, I'd be writing in level +2 CS. The final measure of success is the fixed rate, and that is, it'll specify +X. So you will be using the +X column on the column shift table. A rate of success of 1 to 97. So it means it's not automatic. There is a chance you could fail. And if there were adverse effects, like you were working with alien equipment, so you would have a -2 column shift that would take you down. And so you would bounce down a few columns from that +X column. And then this extra mods. Some of these skills are going to have situations where they will bump the result from a yellow to a green, from a green to a blue, from a blue to a cobalt. You have all these different colored bandwidths on the column shift table. And so you will have an extra mod, and you'll see that in the skill description, and you'll write that here on this extra mod column. Any extra modifications that you have that would apply when you're doing this skill. And so you'll record those there. And that's basically it. Everything else is the same with Zebulon's guide. So the big difference is the skill system. It's granular. You can create a character, like I created a character. The original character had a shooting skill and had technician skill. This character has a bunch of driving skills. He's skipped any other technician skill. He's got more weapon skills than he had. And he's got this endurance, which then bumped his strength and his stamina. And you remember I was concerned about his strength and stamina being low, since I rolled the absolute worst result possible for that ability score. So this is the the Zebulon's Guide character creation process. It's not hard, it's just a little bit fiddly. My one caution from having walked the player through this years ago, he was new to the game, and he said to me, I want to be the roboticist. I want to work on robots. So he was tech-ex profession, and he was writing down all the robotic skills, and he skipped one because all of those robotics actions that were sub-skills under robotic skill in Alpha Dawn, where you just wrote down robotic skill and you had everything. He failed to write down one of the most crucial ones. And then during the game, he says, I want to do X. And I said, well, what's your skill level in that? And he's like, I don't have that skill. And I was like, so it became this conundrum. The rule system, this rule system is fiddly. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. If you have new players, listen carefully what they say, and then double check their character sheet. Make sure they've not left out something they should have put down on there. And but again, it's a much more granular system. You might enjoy this. It allows you to make much more gritty characters. So I encourage you to go ahead, roll up. If you like Zebs, it's a much more granular system. You may enjoy these characters better. You may enjoy the column shift mechanic. I'm not a fan. And you can check out my video on Tabletop Taproom about what's wrong with Zebulon's Guide for why I'm not a fan of a lot of things in Zebulon's Guide. But don't forget to check out my video, What's Right with Zebulon's Guide, because I think there's a lot that's good in here. So this is Tom, a.k.a. Gerion, your Star Frontiers gamer. I'll see you in the frontier.